Hey people, it's Steel Gamer here with a Division 2 open beta test. As usual, I've age restricted this for obvious reasons, and even though this is in beta, and the reason I'm doing this is because it's in beta and it's open, um, as usual, my channel is going to go in and see exactly just how many problems I can find with this game that the average gamers on the community will attack me for. Now, people are like, oh, you're trying to get attention or anything else. This has nothing to do with getting attention. This has to do with people wonder how my channel operates. This is the beginning of it, because the stuff I'm pointing out should never be allowed out of the beta, which is why people are like, how did you know? How do you not know enough to do this? Well, this is where it starts. It starts inside the game's structure, the game's basic ways to explain things. Now, even though this is a beta, I'm not going to go easy on things because there's things in the beta that shouldn't be going on either. And so I'll be a little bit lenient due to the fact that it's a beta. But the fact remains is I guarantee you everything that I will find in this, and I will find problems in this, and I'm not talking bugs or anything else. I'm just talking the basic structure and the total lack of explanation on the developer's part. Now, I may be being harsh now, but that's what I've grown to accept, or, you know, have discovered in games in general. So, the stuff I'm pointing out, anything I find, and that I'm going to point out, I know the difference between opinion and stuff that just shouldn't be allowed out of the beta, because you may have heard me say that, like, this never should have been allowed out of the beta, things like that. So what I'm going to wind up doing is I'm going to wind up picking apart the beta here on anything and everything I can find, because, again, this is where this starts. So I'm playing on the PC using a wired Xbox One controller, and that's about the extent of it. So let's go in and see exactly just how many problems I can find in the game that should never go out of the game. So keeping in mind, when this game is released, if you go in and you find stuff that I've covered that shouldn't be in the shouldn't be out in the main game, that still is, then that shows that it's fucking lazy development, and that's all there is to it. Now, again, I'm going to get a ration of shit from the community, but that comes with the territory, you know. I'm not going to stop doing what I do or looking at things the way I do for those particular reasons. So, I gabbed enough. Let me go in, and I'm going to go right from... This is blind. I haven't even started this. The only thing I've done was... I've started the game to adjust the screen for this streaming aspect. Other than that, I have not seen a damn thing in this, and that's about it. I am going to let my viewers know I am in the process of getting my computer upgraded, which hopefully should happen today, because I'm upgrading it to a 6-core processor. I'm going to put the specs up in the corner once I get it done, and that way you can see the difference in the video stuff, because I'm getting a higher grade processor and stuff like that. Oh, I guess I can't go in there. Might go 1. Oh, wait a minute. Beta server maintenance March 2nd. Alright, so it's not even 9:30 a.m. my time, so I can't even get in there. So I don't know what the hell's going on with this. Let's see. This is weird. So I guess I found my first fucking problem. I can't even get connected to the damn game. Alright, I'm gonna might have to look up what that error message was. Oh man. I guarantee you I'm not going to be able to get into this. Either that or the servers are so fucking full. Because, again, the error message, I honestly, that, you know, the message that says you can't get in there because it's at 9:30, it's I live on the East Coast of the United States. So, let's see. Visit 2 services are not available at this time. Please try again later. Let me look up what Mike01 is. Unless that's the person who did it. Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. Open beta. Alright, let's see. Alright, I have to show this. This is fucking hilarious. Oh my god. Oh. Alright, I gotta put this on the screen. And I'm gonna use more than one source of this. Oh god, this is just hilarious. Hold on. Add browser. Alright. Let's put this in. Alright, okay. Alright, so let's do server status here. see what I can get into here. Okay, so let's see. Might have to do windowed mode for this. Yeah, let me remove this and do windowed mode. Thought browser would work, but apparently not. Let me try windowed mode. I should say window capture. There we go. Let me adjust this. Okay, so this is just really amusing, and let me see. I need to interact here. Okay, so this is it. Oh, that's not good. Okay, so let's see here. Let's see what people are doing here. All right, so we'll read some of these comments that people are saying here. Okay, so 4 p.m. yesterday, last don't even last dida. I keep thinking last dida. This is a new word, I guess. All night till maintenance, and again today, 4 p.m. exactly. C122. Whenever it. What the hell is this? Kid doesn't even know what the hell he's talking about. I think he's trying to say there's an error message of C-1-200, whatever that means. Just went down in Australia about 10 minutes ago. Server still down in Washington, so no game for me tonight. Been down a while now. Okay, so I guess apparently it's not me. There's a serious fucking problem with the beta opening. It's probably because there's too many freaking people in it, and so that's not the only thing I do. But usually when you Google search for one thing, it's gonna expose all of where the stuff is. So everyone's like, "Well, you use NetSite." Fuck off. Yeah, so let me remove this. All right, so that's it on that. Yeah, so I don't know what the hell's going on. I was gonna broadcast it, but they must know they must know I'm going after it. Hey, how's it going, man? I can't get into the game. Sorry, I just realized that you're in there. I just can't get into the game right now because yeah, I know. But if you take a look at the server message, it says it's okay. Let me back up. Let me back up. Take a look at when the maintenance says it is. The maintenance says it's supposed to be at 9:30 a.m. on the East Coast. I am on the East Coast, and it's only 5 o'clock in the morning right now. There's apparently there's an issue with the servers right now, and my guess is that there's too many people trying to log in at this time right now, which is ridiculous. This is why open betas shouldn't happen. And especially with the problems that they have with the first one, as with, as far as the game being in, beta status. All games have this issue, but it's bad enough, but they shouldn't be doing this. No, actually, all right. Okay, here, if you take a look at the screen, it says 9:30. All right, so, but what I'm saying is the game itself, this screen I have open is the game itself. So what's going on here is that there's two problems. The screen here says, I'm going to read it, open beta server maintenance incoming March 2nd at 9:30 a.m. CET, 3:30 a.m. Eastern. Oh, that's right, a.m. Yeah, I can fucking read them. So anyway, the problem is I can't read apparently. Does say that. What happens is CET. What the fuck is CET? Does anybody know what CET is? What the fuck is CET? Wait, does anybody know where the hell Ubisoft in the United States is based? See, I have to ask you, where are you getting 6:30 a.m. from? Ah, okay, that's a CET. I was like, what the fuck is CET? Because the way this is, I'm not familiar with obviously the European time frames. So this, as far as I knew, is some friggin' message from the developer or some crap like that. It would be like looking at this. It'd be like when you see this, it says like Mike Dash 01. It's like, what the fuck is Mike 01? Like, what is that? Is that the person's name? Because when it comes up, I'll show you. So they use all these weird like terms that if you're not familiar with them, it's not going to help you out. Because as far as like I said, because of the way I look at things, as far as I'm concerned, that's some friggin' random code. Like, is it? Like I said, if you look and this pops up, it'll show Mike dash 01. But apparently, a bunch of other people are getting error messages that don't make any sense either. Like, so for example, what the hell is Mike 01? Is that a code? Is that the person's name who put that up there? Is that Mike's first it doesn't reference anything. Because you don't know what the hell that message means. So that's why I was getting at. The point is I don't know what the hell CET is. As far as I know, it could have been a message like this. And it doesn't mean anything to me because I don't know what the hell it's talking about. So, I I guess I gotta, see, that would be a little bit. Hey James, how's it going? I guess that would be a little bit too much. What I honestly think, though, yeah, this would be a little hard to do. So I don't know. This is just an opinion. What I think should happen is when you get an error message, or like when a server's down. I don't know how they would do it, but it would make a lot more sense if they only put the server is down instead of putting a general message for everybody, because they word shit confusing. And so, yeah, I can fucking read. Apparently, James, I can't read now because I fucked up the entire thing. If you go back and watch this, it's fucking hilarious. I'm always harping on people about not being able to read, and then I can't fucking read. So it's like, how ironic is that? So I'll leave this video up because it's fucking hilarious. I'm like, okay, I'm bitching over people not being able to read, and I can't fucking read. But what happened was I wasn't paying attention to this, and I was like, it's going to be down from 9:30 to 3:30 a.m. and it was like Eastern Standard Time, and I'm like. And I didn't realize that this was actually a central, whatever you said, Central European time. So I thought that was just some random thing. So I looked at it as this was just some random error code, like Mike 01 or something like that. So that was my mistake. That's why I read it like that, because I didn't know what the fuck that was. So let's put it this way: if you're in Europe, you should not be seeing any type of, like, when they're doing server maintenance for the United States. Just like in the United States, you shouldn't be seeing shit for Japan. Because if you look at Blizzard, okay, Blizzard puts an announcement up and they separate all the time zones. So, like, when they're doing server maintenance on, World of Warcraft or Diablo 3, it'll say, servers down, United States this time, Japan this time, and so they list it. So they shouldn't be giving a generalized message and clamping it all together, even though it's kind of doing the same thing. It's just Blizzard kind of knows that people don't know how to read right, so it separates it. So I was just looking at this as one big thing, so I was like, huh. All right, so that's my mistake. Yeah, I'm in the USA. See, what the problem is, I didn't realize this was a Central European time zone. I didn't know what that CET stood for, so I was looking at this as this was just a code, 9:30 a.m. CET. So this, to me, this read as March 2nd, 9:30 a.m. to 3:30 a.m. So as far as I'm concerned, they were doing maintenance on it for like 12 hours, and it wouldn't be available until 3:30 a.m. in the morning. So that's what I was getting at, because that's normally how time zones are read in the United States. When you say something's going to be down, they put the start time and then they put the end time. So I don't know what the fuck it is they're doing here. So I had no idea that was centrally. Hey, how's it going, man? This isn't going to be on for a while. Because, like I said, I fucking misread this because I had no idea what CET stood for. Thank you, by the way, VidGirl, for clearing that up. Appreciate it. See, everyone always, I always yell at people and say, like, well, yeah, I can accept when I'm wrong. I have no problems doing that. I fucked up, but thank you for clearing that up. So I'm gonna wait till like 9:30 I gotta wait, I guess, apparently till. When is it supposed to be going on? It's 6 o'clock. Somebody said it was supposed to be going on at 6 o'clock. Unless I misread that too. Oh yeah, 6:30 Eastern. So where did you get 6:30 Eastern from? Because that's not listed here. Oh, approximately 3 hours. Okay, that makes sense. No, okay, never mind. I get that now. Notice how that says approximately 3 hours. Well, yeah, I'm probably gonna go do a couple of things right now for the viewers being tuning in here. I'm not gonna. This is obviously not gonna be available till at least 6:30 in the morning. So it's not on my time. It's not for another hour and a half. So there's no point in me sitting in here doing this. I'll probably stream something else. But for my viewers aware that next time I stream, if all goes well today. Oh, they just do maintenance on it. It's open beta, so there's all sorts of horse shit because there's people that were invited into private beta, and all games are like this. All games are totally, when there's a beta, there's so many people involved with it because this is, let's put it this way, game developers nowadays have the public test it, so there's no in-house testing, and what happens is they don't, and because there's too many fucking problems when a game developer does in-house testing. So that's why the private betas are all out, because they're getting input from people who are actually playing the game that can spot shit that the in-house development would never spot. This, like, if Bethesda did outhouse testing, yeah, toilet testing. If Bethesda did testing outside the studio, what would happen is they would have caught the whole implementation of how badly they put in the game, put Hearthfire into the game. So a lot of players would have said, don't do that, don't put it on a courier. So that the problem with a lot of game developers is they do in-house testing. So this is a lot smarter to do it this way. That way they get the feedback from people who are not stuck inside the company. Yeah. Well, this is also an online game too. So they're doing it for for stress testing on the server. That's another thing. So when you see stress testing, it has nothing to do with how the game functions. It has to do with how much stress the server can do and how much crap is going. Well, I guess that is functionality, but I'm not talking like as far as game mechanics or anything else. It's strictly for servers testing. So they tell you to go apeshit on it. Yeah, this is a really good idea that they do this. But they did this in the original beta for the original Division too, the original Division as well. So the problem that game developers do is they get what's going on here is they get a ration of shit from people on both ends, because you're never going to please the entire community. No matter what you do, you'll never please the entire community. You're always going to have a problem. But the difference between when I look at something, I don't want to be cocky, but they need to have someone like me inside the game because anybody that knows my channel will take a look at all my videos. Oh, you're stupid. This doesn't have anything to do with being stupid. This has to do with pure quality and condensing things down and making it simplified. So a lot of avenues have been covered. Now, a lot of people may not need that, but that's not relevant. So that's where the problem clashes. They need someone like me inside the game, or have a developer sitting behind me when I'm playing. So if the developer can ask me, it's like, hey, why didn't you do this? I'm like, because you didn't make me aware that I could do it. So all this shit. So hopefully this doesn't turn into a shit pile that the first one did, because even though a lot of people attack my Division videos, I have like when I was streaming it, I have people that were in the beta, in the game, verifying what I was saying that was fucking bad, so I know it's not just me. And so it's unfortunate that games get into these conditions. So my objective to this was to go into the open beta, and as I said, I put an announcement to it, which I'll probably be doing later on. And so what I'm going to wind up doing is, since this is a beta, I'll go a little bit lenient on it, but the stuff that I'm going to be covering in here, or I guarantee I'll pick stuff out, should not be leaked into the main game, period. It just shouldn't. Like, for example, Fallout 76. The duping of items and everything else was happening in the beta, whether it was closed or open. It was happening inside the fucking beta. So what shouldn't be going on is that never should have left the beta, because anybody knows that if you dupe this, it doesn't, see, here's the weird part. It doesn't cause server instability. What happens is your computer can only handle so much data. The server's the server. But if your computer can't handle a lot of data, which most players can't, with most people's can't. In that regard, it doesn't matter how powerful your computer is. The server can only take so much stuff, so your computer can only read so much information. And once that information limit has been reached, whether you're streaming, running things in the background, whether you use Steam, whatever it is, all that shit takes into account, and it puts strain on your CPU, and that's what causes a game to visually crash. So no matter how good your computer is, there still is going to be a massive limit when that happens. So, and the server only has X amount of stuff. So between the two of them, your computer can be reading past what the server can do, but if the server reaches its point, it's done. And so that's how this operates, and that's the issues behind this. Now, for those of you playing the Division 1 or whatever it is, the Division 1 didn't just have problems that I was going over. I mean, it had fucking just point blank bad net coding, and this same exact thing is going to happen. So what they should not be doing is they should not be allowing open beta to any of the Russians or anybody else, because the Russians and Germans are the ones that fucking make these problems. And I'm not putting them down. I'm just saying they should hire the fucking Russians and Germans to produce some form of code that can't be fucking messed with the same way the first one was. So those are the people that spend the time doing this. That's what they do. You know, it's sad that they do this, but nothing you can do about it. So anyway, to my viewers, I probably won't be, next time I stream, if all goes well, I'm in the process of upgrading my computer right now. Well, not right now, but I got to wait for a shop to open. I have a shop in my local town in my city that does upgrading, so it's coming up on the 5-year mark, so I usually upgrade my computer so it doesn't need to be touched for like another 5 years. So I'm getting in a, you'll know, I'll put the specs in the corner up there because those are going to change. For those of you wondering, I don't know what the hell the motherboard is. I got to drag it out of them. It's like something like a gigabyte motherboard that supports this, but I'm getting an i7 8700. I was looking at the differences between an i7 8700 and an i7 9700. Oh, by the way, don't get involved with i9s. They're fucking horrible for gaming. So the 8700 and the 9700, there's so many subtle differences. It's ridiculous. So in case you guys are wondering, I won't play Anthem. Do you know, to this day, I have no idea what Anthem even looks like. I've never even looked at gameplay footage on it. Even though I have an Origin account and there's friends of mine on my friends list that play it, I've never seen what it looks like. I have no idea if it's third person, if it's first person, if it's a shooter. I have no idea what it is. I know that sounds weird because everyone's like, "Well, you do this?" I don't look at shit. But anyway, as I was saying, the point to what I'm doing for my upgrades is the differences between an i7 8700K and an i7 9700K is that a 9700K has 8 cores and the 8700K has 6 cores, but the difference between it is hyperthreading has been shut off for the i7 9700. So you have 8 cores with no hyperthreading, and then you have 6 cores with hyperthreading. So it's kind of, I would prefer hyperthreading in games. That's more of just the way the processor runs and everything else. It's too technical to get into, and besides, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about on that. So I don't want to say anything, but I just know that the differences between the hyperthreading is shut off between them. So is it really worth it to get a core and have 2 extra cores with no hyperthreading, or have hyperthreading with 2 less cores? So hopefully this works out better, and the price difference is just fucking ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous for that. I'm not going to pay $105 extra for, you know, cores and shit. So my whole price on that is usually, I don't mind paying a little bit extra on that, because people are like, why didn't you just get your prices from Newegg or something like that? It's because the guy that I'm going through, he has a shop. He gets all his parts through his distributor. And yeah, it's slightly more expensive, and yeah, I could have saved some money, but what happens is, I don't have to, if something goes wrong with my parts, yeah, I can bring it to him, but when he does his distributor, his parts, his labor, and everything else, I can actually bring it back to him because he's in the same town and get it fixed rather quickly, rather than have to send out my computer to get repairs. So if something actually happened in that regard, the difference would be made up in mailing and shipping and handling and, you know, whatever labor costs, because he fixes anything that goes wrong with this, he fixes it for free. So I don't have to worry about mailing it out and anything else of doing this nature. So to me, you know, I spent a total of, I think it was like $750 for all of it, because I'm getting, you know, obviously his distributor. Now that sounds a little high, but when you look at what I'm getting, I'm also getting two upgraded versions of 16 gig, 16 gigs of DDR4 RAM, but they're an actual higher grade version of the RAM, which fucking doesn't do anything. The unfortunate thing is when Intel's making money off of their chipsets and their processors the same way, what do you call it? The same way Nvidia does the shit on their fucking video cards. It's a bullshit marketing move that shouldn't be happening. So Intel knows that when they upgrade their processors, they set it so the older motherboards can't be used with it, so you have to get a new motherboard. So it's a sneaky fucking marketing move that they shouldn't be doing, in the same fashion that Nvidia has the corner marketed on the CUDA cores for their their graphics cards. So it's like, it's a bullshit move that it's a sneaky business move, but hey, if you're going to be known for something, you might as well be known for something. But Intel's doing it just to be a douche, but it's a douchebag move, and it shouldn't be being done. What they do is, it's not that it can't support the it's not that the motherboard can't support the processor. It's just they change the sockets on it on purpose, so you have to fucking get a new motherboard. It's so stupid. So unfortunately, when I upgrade my computer, I have to do the entire thing. But again, if something goes, it's set up, it's tested right, and everything else, so I don't have to mail it back out if something happens. I don't have to worry about it breaking and shipping or anything else. It's his work, his done. It's free repairs on that regard and everything else. So I don't have to worry about it. So like I said, in the end, it really, when you look at it as a whole, if something goes up, it's better off. So, because if you bring it to him, he'll put it together, but it's not his part, so it's a little bit different. He charged for the labor. So if you're looking into getting something on it, it's a toss-up between AMD used to be good, but Intel just fucking cornered the market with this stupid bullshit of hyper-threading and all this other crap. So hopefully this works well. The only problem is I'm going to wind up using, I'm not going to be able to get a graphics card for a while. So when I update it, I just don't know what I'm going to wind up getting. So that's about it on that. So I don't know exactly what it is I'm going to wind up doing yet, but as far as that goes, but that's about it. So, yeah, sorry guys, they're in maintenance right now, and I can't fucking read the screen on time frame, so that's a little bit embarrassing that I can't fucking read this message right. But whatever, I can deal with it. So, what I'm going to probably do now is, I don't even know what the fuck I'm going to do. Oh, by the way, just so people know, I'm going to put a link inside the chat for Pastebin. Oh, nice. Thanks, I'll try it again. Just so you guys know, whoever's joining me, I'm not playing this game. My goal is to go in and pick this shit apart and find out what the fuck is wrong with this game, because I guarantee you I'll find shit. Guarantee I'll find it. So what I'm gonna do right now for the time being is, for those of you that don't know me and why I nitpick information, it's because I'm a professional magician, and I'm gonna open up a stream about that at some point. And because I get people asking me about my background, where I got that from, how I started, and all that shit. So it will help you identify me better, as why it help you identify with me better on, why I nitpick at shit, because it's fucking ridiculous. So there's a whole slew of shit in this that's, why I pick shit apart, and why I look at things the way I do. So give me a second. I'm gonna put up a I'm gonna put a link inside the chat for something called Pastebin. This is a list of all the PC games I own. I've been collecting them for an extremely long time. Now that sounds fucked up. Like, why the hell would I have that many games? But it's just, my point is, people are like, oh, you're ranting in this. I'm not somebody that just walked in off of the street. I have a lot. I've actually gotten thrown off of a bunch of like tech forums because I basically made the person who was running the forum look bad. I've ripped apart PlayStation games, shit like that. And so I did coding for. I don't want to say I did coding. That's a misused term. I fixed a lot of the Game Shark codes, and I added some that was fucked up with the Game Sharks and everything else back when those were existing. Yeah, I know. I have, like I said, most people don't realize, like, And I guarantee you probably haven't even heard of half of them on the list. So, like I said, I'm a collector of games. I collect games. I don't even play them. I think I played like a quarter of those fucking games. Somebody's like, why do you have them all? I just collect games. That's what I do. Some people do that, some people don't. And if you take a look at my game guide collection, I keep things in order. I keep things, as far as the way the game operates. Collections and things like that. So either I go balls all out or I don't do it at all. So I don't know if you guys also. Let me link my YouTube channel for my magic stuff here. So give me a second. Um, Yeah, those are all PC games. I have emulators as well. Like I got a PlayStation emulator, a PlayStation 2 emulator, I got a Dolphin emulator, things like that. So I have games that are just like really hard to find. Um, and for those of you unaware, I think MU Paradise got shut down. The reason MU Paradise got shut down is because it had ROMs on it and had shit on it that you're not really supposed to have. Yeah, actually, no, I have another. Actually, I have two other games that I actually just grabbed a hold of that actually have to go on that list, and actually, one of them is a Lego game. That's not even all the Lego games that I had either. By the way, that's my channel for my magician stuff. Um, and so it's weird too because I have to open up a stream about my magic and stuff like that. As far as I barely finished any of them. There are some games I have finished because, all right, take for example Risen. This is why I always tell people, if you put quality into a game, people will play it. So Risen, for example, when I first saw Risen, it was the style of game that I played. It was an RPG third-person view game. Those are the type I veer towards. That's why I fucking hate first-person view games. Now, when I do something about a first-person view, I don't say the game is bad because I don't like first-person view games. I say it's bad because the fucking game is bad. And so, like, Halo is a great game, even though I don't play it and I don't like first-person view games. But at the same time, the new Thief game that was put out, is fucking horrible. Due to not having a jump button and stupid shit like that. And so those are the differences. So when you look at Risen, what do you mean what? Are you saying what as in you can't believe what I just said, or did you miss what I said? Hold on a second, I gotta find out what James said. Oh, by the way, I'm going to share something with people that I don't normally share. Um, you may notice that I have weird stuff on, like, writing. Oh, never mind, okay. You may notice I have, like, certain font and colorization and shapes of letters and stuff like that on the backgrounds. Like, for example, if I show this picture, let me pull it up here real quick. That's a Resident Evil 2 thing. So, give me a second. Here. Oh, that's not what I needed. Let me turn this off here. Okay, so you may notice that you'll see where it says "Be back shortly" on this. Let me see here. All right, so like I said, you may notice that I have these things on here. So that writing, the be back shortly, people always ask me where I get my fonts from. I'll link that in the chat because I'll explain what I do. I found this site where it's a logo maker, but it's a really intricate logo maker. So I don't ever. Everyone's always asking me, it's like, why don't you share your stuff? Because it's unique to me. I don't, I try to find my own thing to do. I don't like to copy other streamers or do whatever else it is. I like to have my own. No, I don't like first-person shoot. Well, I shouldn't say I don't like them. A first-person shooter. This is hard to get into because you're getting into an entire realm of stuff that I'm not. It's hard to explain. So give me 1 second. I'll put this back up. We'll be right back on this. Okay. So first of all, let me back up. Let me get back up here. All right. So. Okay, so I don't want to say I don't like first-person shooters, but for lack of a better term, I don't like first-person shooters. That's a little complex to explain. All right, well, what are you saying? Yeah, I don't like first-person view games at all. Not even first-person shooters. I just don't like first-person view games. The reason why I don't like first-person view games, and I actually cover this in a few of my videos, but it's buried in the video, so you'd have to find out where in the video it was. First-person shooters, believe it or I should say, all first-person view games. Some games are required to be made in first-person because of the structure of the game. Sorry. But the problem with first-person is, it's unrealistic. People like, oh, it's immersion, it's this and that. It's really not, because what happens is, and I'm not talking down about the game, I'm talking about the viewpoint. First of all, you may hear gamers say that a game is not worth $60 these days, and it's not. What happens with first-person view? Developers use first-person view. You can't play what? Oops. Let me see what you're saying here. You mean you can't play it because it's down for maintenance? Yeah, nobody can. Yeah, so anyway, back to what the hell's going on with first-person view. Okay, now, I'm not attacking games, but what happens is, first-person view, alright, this is like inverted aim. People have a misconception about it because of the way things operate and the way the average gamer thinks. And so, when does the servers go back up? In about, I guess it's 6:30, so it's still an hour my time. It's approximately 3 hours, so I guess apparently they've been out since 3:30, so I'm not really sure. So anyway, what you're dealing with when it comes to first-person view, the way the gamers have been programmed, I don't want to say programmed to think, but the way the average society has been able to think is they can't separate themselves from how things work. So, for example, and that's not the fault of the people, that's just people are reading stuff, and so they don't know what to ask and things like that. So that's why I compare first-person to inverted aim. And it's not that it's the same thing, but the context is exactly the same. So, for example, no, that's not, but here's the thing. You can't compare a human trait to a video game. And the reason behind that is because when you're in first-person view, any game that you're in first-person view, look at the ground. First-person view, in order for first-person view to be actually realistic and immersive, or you want to be immersed in the game, it requires two things: peripheral vision and depth perception. You cannot put those into a program. It doesn't work. Virtual reality even stops at that at a point. Without depth perception, you have no distance gauge. You have no distance to gauge. Without peripheral vision, which is the ability, if you look down at your feet, you can still see 45 degrees behind you. If you look straight ahead, you can still see off to the sides. The point here is that that stuff doesn't exist in a game because the computer program can't use that. They're absent from first-person view. Coincidentally, both depth perception and peripheral vision are required in order for stealth to exist. So that's why games like Dishonored, Dishonored 2, the new Thief game, are not stealth games. People think, oh, I'm being quiet. That's not stealth. Sorry, my freaking thing is going down here. You give it a second. My fucking OBS doesn't like this and shit right now. So, as far as that's the way it works. So this is compared to what I compare it to as people don't understand the definition of something and the actual context the definition is in. They're two different things. So, for example, I'm a magician. Everybody I know, or anybody you ask, knows at least one or two magic tricks. They know how to do them, whether it's a card trick, a coin trick, whether it's something simple or not. That doesn't make you a magician just because you can do a couple of tricks. Just because something is in first-person view doesn't make it realistic. There are requirements that are integrated into these aspects that are required to be there. Cooking is another thing. Just because I can cook a few things, that doesn't make me a chef. The word chef has a completely different meaning. It's not that you can't cook. Well, it's the same thing. It's really not. And so when you're dealing with magic or anything else, if you know how to do a trick, that doesn't make you a magician. If you're doing first-person view, that doesn't mean it's realistic because you have to take into account there are things that make these things what they are. For example, Resident Evil, while we're talking about games, old-school gamers that played Resident Evil, the Resident Evil will tell you Resident Evil 7 is not a Resident Evil game. It's not that it's not a Resident Evil game in the fact that it's made by a company and it's part of the series. But the point is that the old school gamers know something about the construct of the game that understand why Resident Evil 7 is not. It's not that it's not a Resident Evil game, but it's not a Resident Evil game. So, and the current generation of gamers don't understand that concept, and it's not something you can explain to people. It would be like, oh, somebody's watching me. How do you know? You can't explain that. You just know. So there are things that are involved in these contexts that people are stripping out and not applying that are what make things the way they are. So inverted aim is another one. People don't know what inverted aim actually is. Inverted aim thinks, oh, these controls are backwards. Inverted just means it's opposite. It's opposite. So up is down and down is up. But what happens is when you actually break this down. Okay, and I'll prove this to you. So, inverted aim, okay, when you're dealing with games, is the same context as first-person shooters or first-person view. There are things that make first-person view realistic, and if they're not existing, it's not realistic. People think because they're in first-person view that it's realistic. No, there are things missing from that are required to be there. In the same fashion that people think that up is up and down is down, and inverted aim is backwards. It is, but here's the issue. Inverted aim, when you're dealing with a gun or anything else of that nature, is absolutely correct. That is the proper way to aim, and the reason why is because if you're dealing with a gun or you're dealing with something, you don't aim with the front of the gun. The aiming actually comes from the back of the gun. So what happens here is, using my hand as an example, if you want to aim the gun down, you have to lift the back of it up. Up is down. Because people are applying the aiming to the front of the gun because they see a reticle, they see it on the screen. They don't realize that the mechanics of it in real life actually say if you want to aim the gun up, the aiming comes from the back of the gun, not the front. So in order to aim up, you have to lift the gun down. And if you aim downward, you have to lift the gun up. So it's not that there's anything wrong with inverted aim, but when you're dealing with inverted aim is actually the proper way to aim in real life and how you would have to do it. You can't lift up and up. It doesn't work that way. So the mechanics of it are a little odd when you look at it like that. So because like I said, you look through a scope, which direction is the scope going when you're aiming a gun down? It's going up, and same thing. So that's just how that operates. So when people don't take this stuff into account, they just argue with you because, oh, you're just dumb, because they're not understanding how the mechanics of something work. And it's not that they're doing it wrong, they just have the misunderstanding on it. So, you know, when you're dealing with these things, you have to understand where these things are coming from, and there's a lot more involved when I say something, but there's no arguing with people that don't want to listen. So it's really interesting to watch all this stuff, because I guarantee if I left comments open underneath this video, what would happen is people will be telling me, I'm wrong about this, I'm wrong about that, I'm wrong about this, but science tells you why I'm right. I'm not trying to be right to be a jackass. I'm just explaining how these things operate. So when you're playing stuff, so when people are in first person view and they're like, oh, this is realistic, and they're using aim as up and down is down, that's not realistic, because that's not how aiming works. So they would be incorrect on that. And on top of that, when you're dealing with peripheral vision in depth perception, those two things don't exist in a program. It's as simple as that. Even in virtual reality, it stops at a point. So now, when you're dealing with first-person view, and I'll give an example on the difference between playing a game and doing secondary nature that comes natural, where it's automatic responses. So if you're running in first-person view, you can't see what's put in front of you, because eventually what happens is that the vision tapers off. So I'll use jumping over a log as an example. If you're running, let's say you're in first-person view in Skyrim, you're running and you want to jump over a log. You can't see the damn log you're jumping over. What happens here is you gauge a timing perception in your mind where you know enough what time to jump to get over the log. That doesn't always mean you'll make it, but what happens is you're not actually seeing where you need to place your foot in order to jump. So a runner, when they're doing hurdles, they're putting their foot down in a very specific place, because they know if they don't put it there, they need to see where they're putting the foot in order to actually make the jump. In gaming, when you're running along the ground and you're jumping over a log, you're not seeing where your foot is going. You're just doing it out of secondary nature. So what happens is people confuse secondary nature with actually playing. If you're actually playing, you need to see where the timing is, where you need to put your foot down and jump. And that's why the viewpoints are a lot different. If you put if somebody's so used to playing in first-person view, they'll go and jump over a log because they can see what they're doing. But at the same time, if they're in first-person view, they'll jump over it simply because the timing issue, they know where you get so used to doing it, you're doing it. So either way, they're jumping over the log, but the difference is when they're seeing where they're jumping from is where the actual place comes in. Yeah, so if you can't see where you're putting your foot down, it's secondary nature that you just get so used to doing in first-person view. It's not playing. It's just a reaction. So when people talk about playing a game, they're talking about secondary in first-person view. They're talking about secondary reaction. They're not talking about actually playing. Now, what I'm talking about is a really in-depth thing and stuff like that. But I'm just explaining to people, when I use certain terminology or certain words or certain things in games that people argue with me about, it's not that I'm arguing, I'm just putting it incorrect. Because if people are going to say, hey, you know, this is this and this and this, if you're going to say that I'm following this or this instruction or anything else, you're literally saying this is what you're doing. But the gaming community has generically shortcut things and everything else, so it becomes, you know, common talk inside the gaming realm. So even though everybody understands what they're talking about or knows what somebody's talking about, doesn't mean they're correct on what they're saying as far as the understanding of it. So there's a difference between understanding what you're saying and then understanding it just because it becomes commonplace talk. That's all. So it's just the way it is. I mean, that's just a little bit more in depth on the way I look at things, because I analyze things, and obviously gamers are not going to, a game developer's not going to go in that in depth. But that's like trying to argue that a car is a bike just because it has two wheels, and then saying, well, a bike has two wheels. You know, it's like, come on. And then going into the whole, well, I can adjust a car to be a bike, and it's just these stupid friggin', you know, these stupid viewpoints that gamers have in general that just are just idiotic. They're basically idiotic. So when you're dealing with you know, first-person view, people can play the game all they want, play however you like, but don't sit and argue with any, but it's not just me. Don't sit. I've seen arguments where people are just breaking out. They just don't get the concept. And so, don't argue if you're not willing to step back and understand what's going on. But you have to separate, what the gaming community is saying from what the aspects are doing. Now, the gaming community will then say, if somebody, like, let's say, I don't want to say loses the argument, but what I just explained about inverted aim, people can argue with me all they want, but they're just never going to change the science behind that makes it correct. It's like trying to argue with people about the sky being blue just because it looks blue. Science tells you the sky's not blue, so it's totally irrelevant what a mass community says. What do you mean? I lost you. Lost you where? Yeah, a lot of the stuff I talk about is kind of complex, which is why that's why I always tell people, gamers aren't going to go into this complexity issue. But this is just how I read and how I do things. So my mind is automatically processing this stuff just because of the way I see things. But what I talk about is like anything else in general, It's just you do things the way it is, and you may not even know enough to question something, so you would have absolutely no idea that you're even doing anything wrong or right or whatever it is. You just have to trust the fact that everybody's doing things. While James is writing a reply to that, another thing I got into is with people that spread around false information, which is another thing that fucking drives me out of my mind, which is, you think what? I don't understand what you're saying. You talking about the way I think and the way it's applied in the gaming community? Or are you talking about you in general and the way the average gamer thinks? You're talking to me personally or just the way the average gamer thinks? So while James writing that, like, for example, I got into a debate with people on video about playing old school games in 4K resolution, and it amazes me if you actually go read the the comments, you'll see just exactly how ridiculous this is. Because what happens there is channels like the one that I went through are giving off misinformation, but because the channel is held in high stature, they somehow have, more pull, or people will veer toward them more and believe them more over somebody trying to tell them that what you're talking about is not right. And so what happens is people will look at you as you're being confrontational, when in reality you're telling them you're spreading false information. And if, what happens here is a bunch of people that agree with them is where problems start. If people stop giving off false information, people wouldn't be correcting them. And it's not attacking them, but if you're going to give off information, make sure it's correct, because you'll get a bunch of people, which is the problem with the gaming community in general. And it's not just the gaming community. It's like if a bunch of people... I once had somebody ask me, are you going to tell me 1 million people are wrong? And I says, well, that depends. If 1 million people are all getting their information from one source, because they hold that source in high regard, and they're the end all be all, but that source they're getting the information from is incorrect, then yes, 1 million people are going to be wrong, because 1 million people are all following somebody that's giving them false information. And before you know it, you have an entire community of people that are have false information, so there's no arguing with them. They're like, well, this person said this and this person said that, not realizing that what the fucking person they're saying has lied to you, or basically give off false information for the impression that it doesn't work that way. So there's a difference between the case in point about the playing older games in 4K. What happens here is people don't understand the people that did this were feeding people wrong information as far as, look, you have 4K, you have a game being displayed on a monitor with 4K capability. But that's not playing the game itself in 4K. So they're misinterpreting that because the game is being displayed on a 4K monitor, therefore the game itself is in 4K, and that's completely false. This is like the equivalency, and even after putting examples you can't argue with, they still fucking argue. So there's no point in talking to them. So this is where gamers and people in general get misinformation from. It's from idiots that spread false information. And so since the people are held in high stature, they start shitstorms on the internet through the gaming community. That's not true, because I've always, said game graphics are not downgraded. That's a complete myth. Even though, well, somebody shows this video, I says, you don't understand what you're looking at. And so, back to the 4K issue. What they're saying, well, it's displayed on a 4K monitor, so that means it's in 4K. No, that's not how that works. Just because a monitor has no concept to what it's displaying. What's being displayed through the monitor has to be built for the monitor to be able to support. Now, a monitor is just a display issue. That's all it does. What is being displayed through the monitor has to be programmed a certain way for the monitor to receive. The monitor, see, the game itself has to be made in 4K. People think that by displaying the game on the screen, it's in 4K, and that's not true. It's being displayed on a monitor that has 4K capability, but that's not the same thing as being in 4K. This would be the equivalency of hooking up a Blu-ray player to an HD TV, putting a regular DVD inside of it, and then saying because the DVD is in a Blu-ray player and it's being displayed on an HD TV, that the DVD is now in Blu-ray. It doesn't work that way. So the hardware doesn't make. Exactly. The hardware doesn't make anything. The hardware just does what the hardware's programmed to do. So it would be like, in order for a movie to be in Blu-ray, it has to be filmed in a specific way so it's in Blu-ray. That's why they work. A Blu-ray disc doesn't make Blu-ray. The Blu-ray disc just is what the disc player can read. Unless what you're putting on the disc is actually in the Blu-ray format, doesn't matter whether you put it on the disc. Yes, it'll be on the disc, and the disc itself is Blu-ray, and the system can read Blu-ray, and it's being displayed on a monitor with Blu-ray. That does not make what you're watching in Blu-ray. It's the same thing as hooking a VHS player up to a high-definition TV and then saying, oh, my movie's in high definition. Unless the movie's filmed in high definition, it's never going to be in high definition just because you're displaying it. Well, the picture's sharper and everything else. That doesn't fucking matter. So what happens is you have people like that, the one that I was talking about, that are basically, they're mistitling their videos. Play old games in 4K resolution. No, you're not playing it in 4K resolution because it's not made in 4K resolution. 4K resolution didn't even exist when, like, some of these games that people are playing on their monitors do. It's fucking stupid. So that's miscommunication, but people are going to argue. They're the people that are giving out this information are portraying it that because it's on the screen, it's still in Blu-ray, forgetting about the format of the game itself. And even, like I said, even with those specifics and definitions and stuff that I just explained on how this works, it's like trying to argue that the sky is blue. If these people said the sky was blue because of appearance, people would argue and believe that the sky is blue just because it looks blue. But the fact of the matter is, science tells you the sky is not blue. So it doesn't matter what anybody wants to say or any videos. But if people aren't willing to step back and realize that saying the sky is blue just because it looks blue is not the same thing as the sky not being blue because science says it's not blue, are two completely different things. Unless the sky is blue, just because it looks blue doesn't make it blue. It's just the way it is. Because, like I said, I mean, that's going into an extreme, but this is just the stuff that, as basic concepts, people in general don't understand how it operates. So, I mean, it's just sad that this is what happens. This is what happens to the gaming community. They get fed misinformation. They don't want to deal with things and stuff like that. So, that's like my Resident Evil 2 video. I got asked to make a video about, it wasn't said in the stream. It was said, to me when I did it about, hey, rip this thing apart and discuss it. So I was going, okay, as far as grammar goes, this is how this operates. And so people in the stream were freaking arguing with me despite me explaining how grammar worked. And they're like, oh, you're just dumb. But that's not what that was about. That was about saying that the developers don't know how to write shit. And then people get misunderstood. So they write shit for people who don't know how to read. It's just the way it is. Because no game developer is ever going to go into the stuff that I'm doing. They're just not going to do it. it would be stupid for them to fucking do that because it's just dumb. Yeah, the beta's down right now. As you said, that's why I have this message on the screen. I'm on the east coast of the United States, so it's still going to be down for like, according to this message, it's still going to be down for like another 45 minutes. I'm just talking out my ass right now. Well, not out my ass. I'm just talking for fucking to kill time right now. And this, just so you know, it's important to note that this isn't closed beta or anybody can get into it. You fucking download Origin, get into it. Oh yeah, and just to give you an idea of the stupidity level of gamers, and I'm not talking down to anybody. When I say the stupidity level, it's just people talk without thinking. And so if you're going to talk without thinking and somebody calls you on it, don't fucking argue with them. You know, it's just dumb. And that goes with me too, you know. I'm not going to sit and argue with fucking people that don't know what they're talking about. And a lot of them are doing it just because once you get a reputation, it doesn't matter what you say, they're going to attack you regardless. Oh, so yeah, it's down all over the world. So I don't know what the hell's going on. I can't give a time frame on Scotland. And actually, it's a good point that you said that because I said this earlier. When when a game developer says a server's down, they should segregate where in the world you are because my time frames are not going to help you. Your time frames aren't going to help me. They should literally have a list and saying, okay, in the UK, they're down for this time. So that way you can immediately put your own time zone to it, you know, or your own time or wherever you are in the world. So, you know, that's just, I think this is just sloppy fucking, this shouldn't be written like this. So, I mean, just come, like, I understand that they have a lot to do, but at least clarify this shit so people can, I mean, dude, I freaking misread this screen. You know, I thought, I didn't no idea what the hell CET is. I'm like, what the fuck is that? I thought that was some error code. So I'm sitting there looking at this, that the server's going down at 9:30 and not going to be back up till 3:30. No, the beta's free. It's open beta. That's what open beta means. I won't pay for this fucking game. Are you kidding me? Well, I shouldn't say I won't pay for it. I actually, that's why I had a question originally. I got a question from some of my viewers that I put up a video about. It was about this game or Just Cause 4. Now, I was stuck in a bind because somebody asked me what the question was asked of me was, what would you rather play? If somebody were to buy one of the games for me, which one would I play? And since I'm against Valve, I fucking hate Valve and I can't stand Steam and anything else and I don't use it. Somebody purchasing the game for me I don't want to say it's different, but I'm not paying for it. I can't pay for games on Steam anyway, even if I wanted to. Valve has blocked my ability to even do that. The only way for me to pay for a game is to pirate it. It doesn't even matter whether I make another account. That's blocked. Like anything I do is blocked, so it doesn't matter. So even if somebody would have to actually purchase the game and then would give me the account login information so I can get into it, I can't share any games. I can't do family sharing, any of that shit. So even if they were to authorize it, I can't even agree to family share something. So the point here is that I got a question asked to me. Now, if you watch my Division 1 videos or the Division videos, I fucking hate that game and I can't stand the way it was done because just watch the videos and you'll see. So the question I got asked, a long story. Hold on, I'll answer that in a second. But anyway, what happens here is I got asked a question, so it was kind of like a bind. So I don't know if they were asking. It's kind of a funny question too, so I proposed a question: do I play a game that somebody buys from me on a service I fucking hate, I'm blocked on and can't use it because somebody purchased it for me? Also, it's important to note that I don't support any developer that only goes through Valve. I don't. I won't fucking. If they're only going to go through Valve, I won't buy it. I'll fucking pirate it. Period. It depends on the game. So I can't. Even if I could pay for it, I wouldn't because I fucking hate Valve. So that led into the problem. Do I, play a game that on a platform or a server that I fucking hate and my channel goes completely against? Or do I play a game I know I'm going to have fucking serious problems with because of the way the developers make it? So it's like one of those questions I got asked. It was like a catch-22 situation. I was fucked no matter what it is I did. Even though The Division is not on Steam, it's a game because if you take a look at my original, like I said, all the videos I made about it, I was ripping it apart. I even had, it was just fucked up. So do I go with a game because somebody purchased it for me? Because I'm not supporting the developer in that regard. I'm supporting it as far as playing it because that would be technically advertising it. But I'm not paying for it, so I'm not supporting them in that fashion. So I won't support it in that fashion. That doesn't mean I won't play a game. I just won't buy it, or I don't believe they deserve money only for going through Valve. If games are going to be released, they should be released across platforms that have their own launcher, so that way everybody wins. Because there are people who refuse to fucking buy games that are on Steam. They'll pirate it. That's not a hidden secret. And so I'm not saying don't use Steam. Use whatever you want. I just refuse to fucking do it. And a lot of people that know my older channels before it got shut down know why. And so the Division, even though it's not on Steam, it's put together piss poorly. And I ripped it apart in my videos. So do I play a game that I fucking know I'm going to have serious problems with because people want to see me bitch about it or pick it apart? Or do I play a game that somebody purchased for me on a fucking system I can't stand, or, on a service I can't stand, that goes against my channel? So either way, I was like, what do I do? So my first video about Resident Evil 2, somebody purchased it for me. And it goes against my entire channel because I only did it because somebody brought my attention to something that was on a forum, and I basically made it if you watch it. Then again, after I made that video, I fucking deleted it from my computer and wouldn't play it until it was cracked. So that was the extent of that. So unfortunately, those are the situations I do. So that was with Just Cause 4. Somebody asked me would I play Just Cause 4, and I will once it's cracked. But it's kind of interesting when you look at these situations. Because if I would have, me playing Resident Evil 2 on that through Steam totally goes against the way my fucking channel is. I fucking hate Valve and I can't stand them. The only reason I did it was because there was a video that I did, and then, like I said, I deleted it from my computer. I won't play it. I have a cracked version of it, but I'm not gonna use Steam to do it. So, David, if you're still there, I'll answer to you how I got blocked. And I guess apparently that's what, that's partly what makes my channel unique, because I expose a side of Valve that people are not aware exist. And that, I rip into VAC bans, because VAC bans are fucking retarded. And so what happens is, if you listen to the explanation I give about why VAC bans are fucked up, and then compare it to the situations people have been put through, you'll see it's totally stupid. And so then another reason why I don't like Valve is it's manipulative. So, for example, game developers and forums have this problem with name shaming. They call it public name shaming. If somebody's cheating in a game and you say that person's name on a forum who is cheating, you'll get banned or suspended from the forum, because that's, quote, public name shaming, because it's more important to not publicly name shame than to let an entire community know that this person's cheating, and here's the name of them. Oh, I fucking hate Valve. I fucking hate Valve. I can't stand them. I fucking think they're one of the most corrupted, immoral, unethical, and they do a shitload of illegal business practices that they shouldn't be fucking doing. Steam is also not good for your computer either. It's fucking malware. And people don't understand what it is because, as a system as a whole, the system on the surface is decent. I mean, the ability to distribute games like that is good, but the whole system in general is fucking corrupt. It's fucking completely corrupt. So what gets me is that people will bitch and moan about companies doing microtransactions, or, Ubisoft doing sneaky business practices and everything else, but all of these people are using Steam. And Steam is fucking worse than anything you can even possibly comprehend. Just one thing, what? That Valve does that's illegal? Oh, I can answer that easily. Which one do you want? I can have you, if you have Steam on your computer, I can have you open up Steam and I can read to you how something is written, and you wouldn't even realize that this was going on. And you don't know what's going on, but yet you're allowing Valve to do it. You allow Valve to do so much horseshit on your computer, it's fucking retarded. like I said, I can have you open up Steam, and I can read something. I can direct you to exactly where something is, and I can have you read it right now. And once I explain to you how it's written and what it says and what it actually says, you'd get sick. And so it shows you. It's just one example of how much control you let Valve have over your computer. People don't even realize this shit. It's fucking ridiculous. So as far as one of the things that's advertised illegally, free game weekends. They're advertised completely illegally. That's just one of many things. And this leads into what people are talking about. Why I was talking about gamers get the misinformation and they don't understand how to read it. What is? Consoles can't what? No, the servers are still down now. No, they're not. I'm on the PC. I'm on the PC, dude. See this? ESC. Enter. This is the PC game, dude. I just have a wired I have a wired Xbox One controller hooked up to this. Well, that depends on where he is in the world. Well, actually, you know what? Let me see if I can start this. This might be up right now. You might be right. Again, keeping in mind, this is the mouse cursor. I don't know if you can see it, but this is a mouse cursor. Your friend's full of shit. He's not playing it on the PC. He's a fucking liar. Because there's still a half an hour to go on this. Like I said, if the PC was up and running, I'd be on it right now. So if you see here, it's from 9:30 a.m. to 3:30 a.m. Eastern Time is when this starts. Sorry, it's 3:30 a.m. Eastern and it lasts 3 hours. I'm on the East Coast. It's still 6 o'clock. So regardless of where you are in the world, this time frame still applies. Just because it's 6:30, it's 6:30 here, but it would still be somewhere else. So your friend's full of shit. He's not playing it. Your friend can't be playing it on the PC. It's impossible because the servers are down. They're down for everybody everywhere in the world. So your friend's either full of shit or he's... I don't know what the fuck. Either that or he's playing the first one. Because he's definitely not doing the second one. Alright, give me 1 second, James. I'm going to find out where this is. Give me a second. I have to find out exactly where this is. Okay, ready? All right. Okay. Do you have any game that you have in there? Okay, any game. Just right click it and go to properties. I'll show you something scary in here. I'll show you something really fucking scary because I'll explain to you what you're reading is not how this actually works. And I'll break down exactly how this is read. So when you go to any game and you right click on it, go to properties. When you got the properties up, you'll see 5 tabs. You'll see general, update, local files, language, and betas. Click the update tab, and then I'll bring your attention to something that will probably scare the shit out of you. And this is what I tell people all the time that Steam does that shouldn't be fucking going on, but here's the thing. This is what you allow Valve to do to your computer, and how much fucking authority Valve actually does have over your computer. So I'm gonna, like, if anybody has Steam and wants to see this, this is just one of many examples I can show you how fucked up Valve is and how bad Steam is for your computer, because you don't even realize half of the shit that you're allowing them to do. So if, again, anybody that has it open wants to see this, or if you have Steam involved or on your computer, just open it up and right click on any game and go to properties, and again you'll see that you'll see the 5 tabs: general, updates, local files, language, and betas. Click the update tab, and then I'll bring your attention to something in that tab. So I'll wait till people. I know that stream is 15-20 seconds behind itself, so I'll wait for people to do that. Yeah, but you don't need to install it. What I'm saying is you need to look at the update tab, because the update tab has no relevance to whether something's installed or not. It's any game that you have on Steam. Doesn't matter what it is. And I'll tell you why this is fucked up, because once I explain to you how this is set up, you'll start to realize that Valve is not as ethical as people think it is. It's very fucking corrupt. Because they did something that's fucking retarded in here. So, like I said, I'll wait for anybody that wants to do this, and I'll explain to you how fucked up this is. And again, this is just one of many, many instances that Valve does. Okay, you're not updating anything. You're not updating anything. What I'm telling you to do is take a look at this tab, because I'm going to bring your attention to something specific in the tab. So what you have is the general, updates, local files, language, and betas, and you clicked on the update tab, right? Okay. Take a look at background downloads. Okay? Take a look at background downloads. I'll read what under the updates tab. Okay, so all right. So if you're gonna follow this, I'll explain this, because again, people always ask me, what the fuck is Valve doing that's so corrupt? Well, here's an example, and then I'll break this down to you on why this is the way it is, because this is the shit that the average gamer doesn't understand how this is put together. So I'm gonna break this down for you, because I've been doing this for an extremely long time, so I know how to read things and I know what companies are doing. And this is why I get into fucking arguments with people, or people try to argue with me about what the terms of service actually say, because people don't realize how fucking detrimental terms of service are. Right, okay, now here is the interesting thing with this. This is where Valve, this is how fucking corrupt this is, and this is why people don't pay attention to this, because it's so cleverly written. It's fucking retarded. Okay, so, in background downloads, this is what it says, and it doesn't matter what game it's on. That's why I said you can open this up on any game. This is a basic thing that is in Steam. So, and then what I'll do is I'll reword it to show you how fucked up this is. Okay, while playing Resident Evil 2, should Steam be allowed to download other games or applications? That's what it says. Now, if you open up any game, the only thing that's replaced in there is the name of the game. The sentence is exactly the same. So what happens here, it gives off the impression that because it's in the Resident Evil, it's attached to whatever game you do it in, that it only applies to that game. Wrong. Let me remove what doesn't need to be in there and show you that this is what you're doing. Now, it would appear is that the applications and the names of stuff only apply to Resident Evil 2. Yeah, the game is down. What I'm doing right now, Damon, yeah, nobody can. Nobody can on the PC at least. What I'm doing now, Damon, if you want to understand something on, because I always get asked, like, how fucking bad. Right now I'm going over, while the game's waiting to get up again. It's still like another half an hour or so. So what I'm doing right now is I'm explaining to people how bad fucking Steam is and how corrupt it is, because people always ask me, how long does what take? The update? Whatever they do. So it was supposed to be a 3-hour update, so it takes... Oh, you mean it says on the screen? It says for 3 hours. So it started at 3:30, and it's supposed to go for approximately 3 hours. So 6:30 it should be up and running. So I'd say about quarter of 7 in the morning. That's another 45 minutes. That's just a guess, because you can't say it's going to end exactly at 6:30 in the morning on the East Coast, because I'm on the East Coast, so it's another half an hour, another 25 minutes. Okay, so anyway, the thing here is that, as back to what I was saying about Steam. So for those of you who want to follow along with this, I'm going to show you how fucking corrupted Valve is. And I'm going to explain to you how sneaky they put shit in there, because this ties in with the terms of service. This is all the shit that gamers don't pay attention to because of how it's written. But if you actually break it down and understand how to read it, you'll be fucking horrified at the shit that's going on here. So anyway, as I said, any game, if you have Steam on your computer, any game that you have, if you right-click on it and go to Properties, you'll find 5 tabs: General, Updates, Local Files, Language, and Betas. So the tab is the Updates tab. Now, what happens here is, if you look at background downloads, this is just one of many examples for those of you tuning in. This is one of many examples on how much authority you give Valve over your fucking computer. It's fucking sickening. So what happens here is that phrase is put onto a game screen to give off the impression that it only applies to the game itself, or any updates only apply to the game, and that is false. Because if you do that, every single update tab on every single game has this same exact sentence in it. The only thing that changes is the name of the game. But if you remove the name of the game, what it should say is, while Steam is running, should Steam... Because forgetting about the while playing the game, the last part of the sentence is fucked up. Should Steam be allowed to download other games or applications? So we're removing the first part of that sentence, because that's where it's cleverly put in there. And so what happens here is, yeah, but that doesn't matter. That's totally irrelevant. You don't understand. So let me clarify this, and I'll explain it. Okay. What happens here is that's talking about any application, whether it's a Microsoft update or any other games that you may be downloading from Uplay that aren't even connected to Steam. Why is fucking Valve why is this even an authorization aspect to allow Valve to tell you what you can and can't download for updates that aren't even related to Steam? This is what's going on. And they cleverly put these things in these screens to misguide gamers as to what the fuck is going on. Because when you look at this, it's talking about global settings and shit. It has nothing to do with Valve. This is saying, Valve, you're allowing, if you have this option checked off in these screens, any of them, it automatically applies to anything. All you need to do is check off one of them, and you've given Valve permission to even do this. But the secondary problem is, by having it in here and you agree to the terms of service, it doesn't matter what you click in here. In the terms of service, it says the same thing, and you can't install Steam or run it without agreeing to that anyway. What you've done is you've allowed Valve to dictate what you can and can't download on your computer. Oh yeah, it's fucking retarded. And they cleverly write these things so it appears as though, oh, what's the harm? It's updates for a game. No! It's any update Microsoft... You're literally allowing Valve to tell you whether or not you can download Microsoft updates. Are you fucking kidding me? This is why I fucking hate Valve, because people are don't realize how to read these screens, and they write it so you're not supposed to be able to read them. The average gamer looks at this shit, they totally ignore this. See, now that's the problem, David. Go read the terms of service. All right. I'll put this in best way terms. Use any search engine you want and type in any type of search criteria you can find on what Valve is allowed to scan your computer for. Just do that. Just say, is Valve allowed to scan my computer? Here's the thing. Every single person who knows how to program and any business person refuses to let Valve on their computer. Simply because the way the terms of service operate, it's deceptively written, so it gives off, no, you cannot turn it off. No, you cannot. Go read in the terms of service. I'll explain this in black and white. In the terms of service, you click I agree to Valve's terms of service to using it. You have already authorized them to scan your computer for whatever the fuck that they want, whenever that they want, and they don't have to tell you. It's already been a proven fact. Everybody who's ripped the terms of service apart, lawyers, everybody else, they'll tell you Valve does this. So whether or not you even have this in this screen is totally obsolete to the fact that it's already in there. So what happens is Valve cleverly attaches this to games by saying, oh, I don't want these downloads. It doesn't fucking matter. They're still going to do it anyway because it's in the damn terms of service you clicked I agree to. It's in the fucking terms of service. It's in the terms of service. You cannot avoid what Valve is doing. My point is, the reason I brought up the update screen is because that's what you're allowing Valve to do. You're allowing Valve to dictate what you can and can't download, when you can't download it, when and what they feel like scanning your computer for, you know, and everything else. And they hide it under the guise of we're checking to see anti-cheats or anything else, which is complete bullshit because the people that understand computers and their businesses say, what the fuck is Valve doing with 13 gigabytes of data? You don't need 13 gigabytes of data to dictate whether or not you're scanning for cheats. That's a complete bullshit cop-out. Yeah, but that's not the point. This is called an invasion of privacy, and this is I'm not saying don't use Valve. What I'm saying is if you're using these services, people always ask me, what am I talking about? It's these particular things. I understand how to read the terms of service. I understand what they're doing. But it's really scary when you think about it because it's like saying you're allowing somebody to hack into your phone, which is what you agree to when you fucking install apps on your phone. But if you don't install the app, you can't use it. No, you cannot. You cannot turn it off. It's automatically on as soon as you install Steam because it's part of the agreement. If you don't agree to turning it on automatically all the time, guess what? You can't install Steam. It won't let you. It's part of the installation process. So what you're doing when you install Steam is you're allowing them access over your entire computer. Anytime that they want, for any reason, and you've authorized them to not have to disclose why they're doing it. Or what they're doing. It's in there. It's a fucking scary thing when you think about it. So, even if people don't have anything to hide, that isn't even the fucking point. It's like Windows 10. In Windows 10, it literally says you have no security. In black and white. Go read the fucking oh yeah, go read fucking Windows 10 terms of service. It's fucked up. People have literally... There's videos where people open up the terms of service and highlighted where it actually says this. It's fucking scary, dude. So what happens here is you can turn it off in the screen. Like, for example, in the updates, you can turn it off there, but it's not turned off. So by putting it, and this is where the shit gets fucked up, because by putting it in there, it gets around a loophole in the legal system that says, hey, we allow them to opt out. And it's fucking stupid, dude. No, you cannot. Nope. You cannot turn off certain things in Windows. Okay, here, let me try this and explain this. Try removing Cortana from Windows 10 and see how well that works for you. Oh yeah, try to get rid of Cortana out of Windows. Katana, yeah. Try to get rid of Cortana in Windows 10. Not shut it off. Remove it. See how well that works for you. All right. Alright, so let me see if I can get this on here now. I'll start this and see what's going on. Maybe they did it up. Oh, I guess it's back up. Alright, well listen, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to exit this stream. I'm going to reconfigure this, and then I'm going to restart this, alright? So just hang tight, guys. I got to actually end the stream now for a second and then restart it. Now, just so you guys know, when I come back, I'm gonna be not really playing the game. I'm gonna be paying attention to shit that should be being explained in the beta that's not. And then once the game comes out, the stuff that I'm going over that shouldn't be in the beta should never be leaked out in the game itself. Because again, this is people, this has to do with where I get my information from and where problems start in games that I talk about, because it all starts with the beta. So give me a few minutes and I'll restart this, so hang tight.